So the price gap is we have about $799 right here. We do have ourselves $924.99 right now with a savings, but typically $10.99 retail. And then this one right here is on sale for $10.99, but it's also $12.99 retail. But the price increase about $100 on most of these, except for the Ultra, has been, especially on the basis, has been quite the thing. But again, they're already discounting them, which I expected. And so if you didn't buy it at launch, you're getting a discount now, and you're probably going to see more throughout the year. The real question though is, which one are you wasting money on if you pick a certain one? So let's break down all three. All right, so let's talk about size and ergonomics. I mean, it's pretty simple to see which one's the smallest one. That's the S26, medium is the S26 Plus, and then the Ultra the biggest. But here's the thing, all of these are kind of shaped similarly, so you'll actually pick up the Galaxy S26 and its shape is almost identical to the S26 Ultra. Now, the S26 Plus is also that same kind of feel, but it is a little bit smaller at 6.7 inches to the Ultra, but what you really feel is the thickness difference. The Galaxy S26 Plus feels nearly like a Samsung Edge. It's extremely thin, whereas there's a little bit more bulk, a little bit more thickness to the S26 Ultra. So if you are looking for a thinner, lighter proposition, but you don't want a smaller phone, I do think that the S26 Plus is going to be the best option for you here. Ergonomically, it does feel rather light and easy to manage day to day. The thing is though, is that the edges are pretty flat, so that makes it easy to hold and not drop too much. However, the corners aren't as smooth as what you'll find on some other more rounded corner smartphones out there, but it is pretty flat on the edges. So again, feels easy to grip and hold on to. I feel pretty confident that I'm not going to go ahead and drop this phone too regularly. But the thing is with the S26 base is that the size of this phone right here, while it is the smallest and the lightest option of the bunch, because of its shape, it's more like a more rectangular S26 Ultra like shape, and went up to 6.3 inches. It no longer feels like a super compact phone like the previous S25 and even the S24 III. Those phones felt a lot more compact because they had smaller screens, and the display and the shape of this is just a little bit more boxy to me. This almost feels to me like, remember when they did that smaller version of the Note? It kind of feels like that, but without an S Pen. So this one right here to me is going to be compact compared to these two, but it's not going to be that super small feel that you might be expecting if you do get the S26. None of these phones are small, so do keep that in mind. You're not dealing with small phones here on any of them. Now, when it comes to display, I think the happy medium here is the Galaxy S26 Plus. And the reason why is the S26 Plus is 6.7 inches, not 6.9 like that on the S26 Ultra, which means that you have a large phone, but easier to manage. Also, the display itself is actually sharper overall than both of these two, and it doesn't have privacy display, which means the quality looks exactly how you would expect. No different pixel arrangement. And so you do have 1440p resolution. And you don't get that on the base model. You do get it on the Ultra, but again, with the privacy display, the actual pixels look a little bit different, especially if you're a detailed person. But for me, this is the sharpest looking phone here in terms of the display, and also one of the better quality panels here. All of them do have updated OLEDs, and the deal with this one though is that it's just the best standard high quality Samsung display for most people. So I do like it as a sweet spot for display. However, I do love the Ultra's privacy display feature, even though it does change that pixel arrangement. Some people have been returning it because of the way the text looks on certain angles to certain individuals. I do have to state that I've been enjoying that privacy display feature. I think it's actually very useful. And if they could find a way to continue to bring it to other phones, it definitely is going to be, I think, an awesome feature. I think some other phones might adopt this technology as well, but it could also be one of those technologies that just kind of goes away if it doesn't see widespread interest or adoption. So we'll see how this feature goes, but you do have different conditions for turning it on. And the Ultra does have itself the adaptive color tones just like the other phones, but it does give you the same option like the S26 Plus, and that is to change between different resolutions. All in all, when it comes to displays, I would pick the Ultra if you're like the heaviest of media users. I would pick the Galaxy S26 Plus and not waste money on either of these two if you want the sharpest panel that's the most like medium spot, like good size, but not too small, not too large, and just extremely good quality, I would pick this one. Also, it does have plenty of room to multitask, split screen, and do all the Samsung things you like to do on here. Also very thin bezels on that phone as well. And I would pick the Galaxy S26 base only if you're, you want the most compact, but you still want a nice quality display. The thing with this one though is that you don't get the options of the QHD Plus or anything like that. So you are stuck with 1080p. Well, it's not a big deal. You're not gonna be able to see as high a quality of videos when you are watching media content, especially if you tweak to 4K and stuff like that. These two are just gonna simply look better on the right. Now, when it comes to the build, the design, and materials, they all actually have basically the same Armor aluminum frames, which I think is kind of a downgrade for the Ultra, especially because the previous S25 Ultra had the titanium build on board, and it definitely feels nicer when you grab an S25 Ultra when it comes to that. But the deal is that if you notice something different about all three of these, it's mostly the Ultra with these two lenses right here. Those are definitely included. The Ultra's camera housing, also the actual lenses are bigger. They are physically larger. You can see that right there. And that's one of the things I don't really like about the Plus, is that I feel like Samsung should put these cameras on the Plus. Like, why are we paying over $1,000 and not getting these cameras on the Plus? It just doesn't make sense to me. I understand that we want to reserve something for the larger phone, but I don't even think this would, if they put the cameras from the Ultra in here, I still think people will buy the Ultra because you're still getting a bigger screen, you're still getting privacy display, and you're still getting the S Pen support, which these don't support. But I really like the S25 Plus in terms of the actual size and ergonomics, because it's super thin, it's super light, but it's still large, so it's still very useful. I just wish it had the cameras from the S26 Ultra. And then over here, ergonomically, this one, like I mentioned earlier, it is compact, but it doesn't feel quite as lightweight as some of the older base S models. So for me, they're kind of inching up towards more of a bigger phone on each iteration right here. So I'd like to see another compact-ish phone, or maybe even a S26 Pro with the cameras of the Ultra over here. But size and ergonomics, I'd go S26 Ultra if you don't care about size. I'd go S26 Plus if you want thin and big, and I would go with S26 if you just cannot deal with large phones. It's really that simple amongst these in terms of the build and stuff like that. Durability wise, they're all about the same. They all do have the SIM cards in the same essential location. You do have speaker grills in the same location. So, and it's nice that they all have SIM card support. None of these are eSIM only. They all support eSIM, but none of them are eSIM only. So do keep that in mind. Which here would you be wasting money on if you were looking for the best software experience? And the answer is none, because all of them do basically the same tasks. But here's the deal. In terms of the best software experience, it's got to be the Ultra right here. The reason why is that the Ultra has the S Pen, which gives you S Pen software on top of the software that already comes with it. And while you might not always use it, it does have its own suite of features built right into the software. And so it feels like you're missing something on these two because this has the S Pen. So I'm going with the Ultra 100%. And then you do have yourself the privacy display, which is also included at the hardware level, but there is software to control it. So there's just more to play with on the Ultra. Let's just put it that way. At the end of the day, if you want the overall best software experience, I think it's the Ultra, because it also has, it's going to get updates probably a little bit faster in long term. These are also going to get 7 years, but I just feel like this one gets everything. This is like the focus. This is like the main one, the big boy of the lineup. So yeah, that's the one. And also in the camera, you do have more camera settings and stuff like that, because this one is the Ultra. It has a few more LUT packs and things of that sort. So it is just the best software experience here. You can also go to town on the Galaxy S20 Plus as well. I'd pick this number 2 because I do think Samsung does benefit from having picking a larger screen phone. And the reason why is because with all their app pairs and split screens and good lock features that you can dive deep into, it just becomes more fun when you have more space to play with this stuff on the phone. And that's why I really like the Z Fold as well, is because you're getting to expand on the massive feature set that the S line does offer with the Z line, with having more screen. But you can see you have theme park right here, which can change different things like keyboard, quick panels, volume panels. I mean, we can go on and on, but the S26 Plus will be my second pick for the software. I think you'd be wasting money though if you wanted to get the most out of Samsung and get the S26. And the reason why is because this is, again, it's going to be a little bit more compacted by the screen. Yes, you can get things done, but I feel like if you're doing a lot of heavier use on the S26 and you're starting to split screen more, you're going to wish you had a little more space because it does feel a little bit cramped when you are multitasking on the smaller phone. I think it's pretty cool though that it can do that. It's powerful enough, and I like that it has those options. But at the same time, this feels a little bit more like you're going to use it like a regular phone, a little bit more basic. Even though it is very capable, has the same chip and RAM, I do think that you're better served with these two if you're going to be a heavier use on the software side instead of just basic use. So when it comes to the AI, they all essentially have the same exact features in the AI, and you might be noticing that this screen looks a little bit darker. This is the only one here that has the anti-reflective properties. So I should have mentioned that earlier, but if you want the anti-reflection, the Galaxy S26 Ultra is the best, unless you just go ahead and get an anti-reflective screen protector for the other two. This one's going to look quite a bit better. But when it comes to AI, all of them have call assist, writing assist, interpreter. They all have the creative studios, the audio eraser, which is an awesome feature, and the new now nudge right here, which is pretty cool once you set it up. So you're going to get essentially the same AI experience on all of them, and they all do have circle to search, Gemini integration on the right. But I think the one that's going to be the best for AI use, again, is going to be the Ultra, because the Ultra has the best vapor chamber. So while AI cloud-based stuff is not going to push it that hard, as you push AI heavier, if you are going to do it down the line, that requires a lot of power. So the Ultra should be the best when doing that. Also, if you are using, AI applications and you need a little more space to see everything, that you're producing, your images, your image generation and stuff of that sort, I do like it over here, but it's not going to be that much different on the S26 Plus, so I'd call this number 2. And I feel like with this one, I'm just going to do some basic AI stuff on the smaller Galaxy S26, even though it is capable of doing most of the same stuff. It's just, to me, this phone lends me to just want to use it more basic. Even though it is capable, it just kind of feels that way. I just want to push these phones more power use on the bigger boys. But they can all do it about the same clip. They all have the same power and performance, but the Ultra is going to sustain that a little bit better due to the vapor chamber. And when it comes to performance, which one are you wasting money on? And that answer is none, really. But if you're looking for the top performance, it's the Ultra. The S26 in this test actually won in the single core, but lost in the multi-core to the Ultra, but it beat the S26 Plus over here in both of those. So I don't understand. Sometimes these Geekbench results, they do vary, but they're essentially all kind of the same. It's just the Ultra is the only one that will probably be able to sustain its performance a little bit longer than these two, but it's only a small margin right here. So I think you can rest assured you can go to any of these phones. Here is their 3D mark. You can see they all were about 38 FPS, all almost the same score, and then scoring better than 96% of devices on all of them. So you can rest assured you can go at any of these picks here and you're not wasting money on performance because they're all top level Galaxy chips. Now, one thing to keep in mind though is in other countries, if you're not in the US, you aren't getting the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 SoC for the S26 Plus. So do keep that in mind. You're going to get an Exynos chip, which is going to change the results of this. So I'm talking about the US buyers right here. So keep that in mind. Now, which one to get for the camera? Well, the best camera here, and it's kind of been this way for a while, is the Ultra. They continue to focus their efforts on putting only the best cameras on the Ultra, which has annoyed some users because they do feel like they're not getting the best value. You get log and LUTs and the best zoom on here of any of the Samsung phones. And so I just wish they would stop doing this and start putting the nicer cameras on the smaller S models. I mean, Apple does it for the Pro, at least on the Plus. Come on, put it on the Plus at least. But it's 100% going to be the camera choice right there is going to be the Ultra. If that's your main concern, you'd be wasting money getting the other two because especially the Plus, because you're already close in price to the Ultra, but you're going to just get a lesser camera for only like $100 or so less. So that's my con with the Plus. I don't really love its camera as much. It doesn't do as much in video. It can do 4K and 8K, but it can't do the log recording like the same way that this one can. It can't do the LUT packs the same exact way as the Ultra. It does have the horizontal lock though, which is cool. And the photos to me are really solid for social media. I think for regular users who aren't massively like counting on camera for professional video will still be happy. It's a great consumer grade camera on the S26 Plus, but I just don't like how the Plus especially has the non-Ultra cameras. I think it should have those cameras, just like the iPhone does with the iPhone 17 Pro. Let me know if you agree with that down below. And then I think the best value for the camera is going to be the smaller S26, because at least you're in the $799 price range. You're kind of getting what you're paying for here with the S26. I'm happy with these cameras for the price because these cameras are kind of competitive for what they are, 8K and stuff like that. One cool thing about all these Samsungs, you do get all the pro videos on all of them, and all of them have better processing than previous versions. One thing I don't like is that all of them have become a little bit, they've kind of not really upgraded much on the front facing camera. So not super ultra wide like the competing iPhones, but the camera I would say to pick for best value is going to be the Galaxy S26 Ultra, because you get everything in the kitchen sink with this camera, and you get a lot of other things too, S Pen and all that. So, you know, value wise, you're paying a lot for these two, but you're not getting the best camera. So I think the camera, if that's what's important to you, it's the Ultra for sure. So when it comes to the actual battery life, the S26 Plus actually goes neck and neck with the S26 Ultra, 4900 milliamp, 5000 on the right. And I found that in certain scenarios, the Plus will actually outlast the Ultra. Now, the base S26 is not even in the conversation. This one is significantly behind these two in terms of actual battery life. So I wouldn't even waste my money on the S26 if battery is important to you. And if battery is your main concern and you're not heavy on camera and some other stuff, I think the S26 Plus is the perfect sweet spot. It's cheaper than the Ultra. It gives you nearly the same, if not better, battery life in certain scenarios, and it charges about the same clip. So, you know, the S26 Plus to me is the battery recommendation of the three. The Ultra, you just expect to get good battery because you're getting the Ultra phone. So that's going to come with it, but I like the S26 Plus for price to battery value. I think it's the best here of the three, because it's basically the same as the Ultra but less money. So I do like that. When it comes to audio quality, the loudest speaker here is actually the S26 Plus. The S26 Ultra is the best sounding at the highest volumes. So if you want the loudest, get the Plus. If you want the best sounding when watching media and movies, get the Ultra. That's going to be my recommendation there. To not waste money on. So if you find yourself in a situation where I need that speaker a little louder, you'd be best served getting this one. This is just going to be good, definitely above average, especially when you put Dolby Atmos on. All of these get better, but the Plus is louder than the base, and both of these are louder than the base. So I would say go with the Ultra for if you're like chilling a lot, watching movies and videos, you want the best sound, get the Ultra. If you want a really loud speaker for speakerphone calls, you get the S26 Plus. And if you want a good above average speaker that's pretty loud, also you can just go with the S26. You'll be pretty happy there. All right, let's come down to the final verdict. Do not waste money on the Galaxy S26 Ultra if all you need is a really good phone, you need a good battery life, and you need a good screen with good performance. This is all that and more. It goes beyond that. You don't actually need the S Pen. You don't need the privacy display. You don't need the camera pro features. I don't think it's worth the cost there. I think you should just simply go over to the Plus. If good screen, good battery, good performance is all you're looking for, this is the phone right here, and a good camera. It's definitely a good camera. Not the best on the market, but it is a good one nonetheless. Now, don't waste money on the Plus if you're not a heavy user, because I think with the big screen, the long battery life, Samsung is still targeting the heavy user here that just doesn't need the top pro level features, but still needs great performance. So this is great for a heavy user who doesn't need privacy display, doesn't need S Pen, doesn't need Ultra Pro Max, you know, the best cameras ever made on a phone type thing. They just need great performance, great long software support, 7 years. They need a really good phone and good gaming performance. This is going to be it. But again, if you want better thermals and you game a lot, go with the Ultra. Now, don't waste your money on the Galaxy S26 regular if you like big phones, because if you're just looking at this, you're like, but the price is cheaper, bro. But deep down, you're like, man, I need a bigger phone. This is definitely going to disappoint you a little bit because it kind of looks like a big phone, but then you start using, you realize it's not, and it feels more cramped to do multitasking and doing more on the phone that you might do. However, if you want a smaller pick, this is definitely not a waste of money. It is the better option of the three. But again, remember, none of these feel really that compact. That's how I feel about them right now. But overall, if I had to pick the best balance, it's going to be the S26 Plus. It is the underserved, the undervalued, the not appreciated best balance of the three. I do think Samsung is missing hardcore with not putting the ultra cameras on here, especially at this price. We should be getting nearly ultra cameras on here, at least maybe the 200 megapixel on one of them, at least. Like, come on, like $1,000 for this? Let's get that 200 MP on there. You have it on the edge already. So that's the only con that irritates me with this phone right here. And then I do think that the Ultra is really just for the enthusiasts, the people always got to have that top level phone. That's for you right there for sure. And I think most folks that just need a regular phone are going to be pretty happy with that S26 as well. So that's my full analysis on all three of these phones. They are actually just a really good lineup this year. It might be playing it safe. It might not be the most exciting, but you're winning either way. But here is one thing that I'm going to cover soon. So a little treat here we're going to have soon is the Galaxy S25 Ultra versus the S26 Plus. But this might be a question you might be wondering, should I just go with a previous S25 Ultra or go with the Plus? Because the Ultras are down now from last year and they're like the same price as the Plus. But you're going to have to stay tuned to check that out in my upcoming video between S26 Plus and the Ultra. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you all in the very next episode. Any questions, comments, concerns related to these three, you know what to do. I'll see you down there. Be sure to be well. Nick here, and peace.